Well, indeed, North Korea is going to be particularly high on the agenda as U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson does arrive there in Beijing for these weekend talks with officials there. Our chief North Asia correspondent Stephen Engle is with me having a look at these developments. Now, is North Korea like to upstage all the talks taking place between the two?
They could. I don't think either side necessarily wants it to, but it's going to be very high on the agenda, according to the U.S. State Department that put out basically an outline of the agenda as Rex Tillerson arrives later today in Beijing. He'll spend pretty much one day in talks tomorrow with Chinese leaders over the weekend. And, of course, North Korea, Rex Tillerson has confirmed they will be definitely talking about that. But also, again, keep in mind...
South China Sea, perhaps?
South China Sea, sure. Some of the geopolitical tensions. Also, Donald Trump will be visiting in November. Keep in mind, this will be much more formal. It'll be a state visit. There'll be lots of pomp and circumstance. It'll be coming just after the 19th Party Congress, where we assume Xi Jinping will be reanointed as the leader.
Solidifying his position.
Solidifying his position. So he'll be fresh off that, welcoming Donald Trump. So Beijing wants that to go very smoothly. They're going to put in a lot of protocol. They'll be wanting to have this meeting with Rex Tillerson to focus a lot on that, not necessarily on the South China Sea tensions. Yes, they will be talking about North Korea, especially these latest sanctions. Rex Tillerson wants Beijing to enforce and implement the full range of latest UN sanctions on North Korea. We got this story, which we're going to talk about in just a second, about the restricting of North Korean companies in China, but they want further restrictions of textile, coal, oil, all kinds of revenue-generating export deals with North Korea and China.
Yeah, because, we have been seeing a little bit of progress on that front. Or what we're hearing is that Beijing's been ordering these North Korean businesses doing business in China to shut down. I mean, how progressed are these sanctions in terms of implementation?
Yeah, so the latest round of UN sanctions came out September 11th. So as of September 12th, China announced that these North Korean companies, joint ventures with Chinese companies in China, have 120 days from September 12th to shut down. So basically by January. Now, the big question is the efficacy and the implementation of such a ban. Keep in mind, there are not a lot of North Korean businesses in China that we know of. Perhaps they're probably behind other names or other people. But there are a lot of restaurants. There is, again, 90% of the trade from North Korea is to its main benefactor, and that is China. So it will take a make a dent in the North Korean economy. The United States and others, Japan, they would like to see even further efforts to curtail the North Korean economy, perhaps much stricter oil embargo.
Well, let's face it also, Steve, I mean, he is an oil man, Rex Tillerson, at the end of the day, and no doubt energy is going to be something they may be able to talk about as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, of course, the United States wants to see a real shutdown of textiles, coal, and basically all commodities trade out of North Korea. North Korea can lose almost all of its export revenue if the Chinese are involved in doing that. But again, the Chinese do not want the North Korean economy to collapse.
Well, they certainly don't. And, of course, there's 120 days or thereabouts before this particular round of sanctions that China's imposing on Pyongyang would actually come to pass.
Yeah, and it's not surprising that these measures came out right before Rex Tillerson arrives in China. Also, those latest comments
exactly
about
as you say
intellectual property rights. There was nothing new in those comments from the Ministry of Commerce, but just saying, hey, we're taking IPR seriously.
And we're going to have international standards when it comes to intellectual property rights as well. Thank you very much indeed.